Hello everybody and welcome to the British Pint. My name is Christoph and today we're tasting my two Gale's clones that I made, Gale's HSB and the Gale's Festival Mild. I'm much more happy with these two clones than I was with the Young's clones, which were the last ones, because the Young's one were fermented to warm in the summer. With these ones I had a nice 20 degrees Celsius in the room where they were fermenting, so you can expect with my small fermentation vessels that these also were very, very close to 20 degrees. And then also, just in general, attenuation was better, because if you remember, the Young's winter warmer was really over attenuated. So I think we're getting towards something that will be nicely tasting. As usual, these were just a few weeks, roughly 4 weeks, in my party kegs, and then I bottled them. And this usually ensures that they're quite clear and all the yeast has precipitated. So let's see what carbonation we get. They were forming quite well while I was bottling, and this seems to be the case again. Let's see how long the foam lasts. Oh yeah, very nice. So you can easily see the color difference. The one is quite pale, typical English bitter, like 20 to 25 EBC. The other one is significantly darker, though I did notice that to get the appropriate color, which is I think 120 EBC or something, I forgot to check that, but I get a dark color, which is a dark brown, probably 80, 90, maybe 100 EBC, and I would have to get even darker to get the specified color, which I assume they're doing with caramel for coloring. What do we smell with the Gale's HSB? So I think both of these were quite well attenuated. This one had 2.4% of residual extract, so that's like 10 final gravity. Yeah, so there will be a bit of malt body. This is quite decent value. Okay, so we get a very fruity nose, biscuity, some gentle malt. It does taste slightly yeasty, but I don't see much cloudiness. There's a bit of protein chill in there. Yeah, a bit of sharpness. If I remember, this is aroma hopped with Goldings and Fuggles, and the other one was only Fuggles. No, was it the other way around? Yeah, very nice. Yeah, very full, biscuity, nice feel. It's a bit of a slight sharpness to it, so I know that they are not fermenting too warm, but I do get a bit of a wine-like feeling. I did use sugar in both of them because that was specified by the Real Ale Almanac. They used, I think, both 5% sugar, cane sugar, so nothing like invert sugar, nothing special, just raw cane sugar. That's what I used, and it might be that it gives a bit of a wine-like note. What I also taste like is a really nice fruitiness from this one. I wonder, pretty sure that must be the yeast. I did taste the Gale HSB in June from cask, and I had the Fuller's ESB just before that, and both are made by Fuller's nowadays, but it's a different yeast. The one is the Gale's yeast, Y yeast 1932, the other one is the Fuller's yeast, Y yeast 1968. And of course, after the Fuller's, which is an impressive, strong beer, this one really underwhelmed me, and now that I make it myself, it's actually not that bad. It feels really nice. I wonder if they fermented a bit too cleanly or something, that there's something lacking. Because this is a nice beer. Very malty, yeah, I like it. It's really one of these easy drinking, nice session ales that you get in the UK. I don't get a lot of flavor, so that's fitting to the style, but contrary to some of the things I recently tasted, this is a bit less than others. For example, I haven't edited the video yet, but you will have seen it already when this one comes out. The modern IPA that the Craft Beer channel made with Me Time, the Now IPA. That one was really intense with hops and malt and everything. Yeah, there's a bit of hop spiciness on the tongue, very slight fruitiness from the Golding, but I don't notice Fuggle too much except for this spiciness. Okay, very nice. Let's look at this one. Festival Mild. So this is said to be a mild, but it's one of these old mild recipes that is actually quite strong. I think originally it would have 5.5% ABV or something like that. Mine now attenuated well down to 2.5% final gravity, so that's also around 1010, slightly higher than the other one, and also the original gravity was a bit higher, so that makes sense. I don't think I managed to get anywhere close to the very low attenuation that this one and the fullest the youngest winter warmer are supposed to have. I didn't use any sugar in there that contains a lot of maltodextrins, rather contrary, 5% of cane sugar, as I said earlier. And so you would expect both of them to attenuate the same way. Maybe, well, I did mash this one higher, didn't I? So or did I mash? Oh yeah, I mashed both of them a bit higher, just to make sure that I get a lot of body, and that worked, but not the amount of body that I would need. But again, as I said, maybe my party keg is contaminated with previous yeasts, and that is the problem here. Okay, much less fruity than this one. I get a bit of roastiness on the nose. There is the same yeasty note, so there's a yeast fruitiness, and I think in this one also the golden fruitiness. That one has a nice quality. Very smooth, rounded character. I don't taste any roastiness in flavor. It's just slightly chocolatey, and it just feels a bit fuller than the other one, which is very interesting because both are made from the same, kind of mold and everything. I do smell a bit of Golding, but it's very faint. Golding has this vanilla, pear, sometimes peach, general fruitiness. Usually it's something creamy like Bailey's that I smell. It's a bit more fruity here. Very nice beer. I like that it fills the mouth and gives a bit of a chocolatey impression. It would be nice if this was a bit less attenuated, as I said. Systematic problem that I might solve in the future if I get some kegs that are really well to clean, and then I will be able to actually give attenuation values as something that I'm very confident with. At the moment, I wouldn't say that you should calculate my attenuation value and believe that this is the truth. Yeah, apart from that, I'm surprised that this one feels so different on the tongue, as I said. And yeah, this idea of a slight chocolatey note with a beer that is more brown and not too black, and at the same time you call it a mild because this is supposed to be an easy drinking, though stronger beer, not really a warming one, or nothing like hop heavy or very malty. It's just a bit more intense, bit more complex than the HSB, but still very easy drinking. Yeah, very nice beer. Yeah. There's a stronger biscuitiness that comes as it touches the tongue, and then afterwards this slight chocolatiness. Very nice. I like both beers a lot. They still have some foam on top. It's very lacy, very foam stable. That is a sign that the yeast precipitated very well, and I think it's the case in both of them. That the yeast, which is probably a very flocculent strain, that's the characteristic. It's not like, oh, I did something right. No, it's the yeast that did something right. And that is really helping this beer be a very pleasant one. Okay, I think that would be everything. And then the next beers that will come up are test beers that I made with different crystal malts that I compare to each other of the same color of different manufacturers. And then I also have some complex stuff coming up soon. I will probably do a bit less videos in the future, less quickly after each other, because my daughter was born recently and it will take some time to get adjusted to that. And also I don't think there's much reason to drink lots of beer anymore, so I have to focus on her a bit. But I will still do some test stuff, as I said, and maybe some very special things for the future. Okay, and then see you next time. Bye bye.